I want to share with you this afternoon positive parenting during COVID-19 pandemic and beyond. Because remember what teacher Rochelle taught a while ago. This journey of parenting, we don't stop. It's a continuous journey. Okay? So during the time of COVID-19 pandemic and beyond, and I adapted this actually from the material or the book of Rebecca Ains. I am so grateful. I am so grateful that she has this work, she has this material. She is an advocate for positive parenting. Probably you are saying, but yeah, well, Teacher Claude, we've been hearing about, actually, we've been practicing positive parenting. Ako din po, akala ko I have been practicing positive parenting, no? Pero hindi pala. Siguro yun lang yung noon na perception ko about positive parenting. Okay? And I would like to tell you all that though I was introduced by one of the MCs as the family life and child development expert, gusto kong sabihin sa inyo lahat ngayon that I do not consider myself an expert when it comes to parenting because this is an everyday learning process for me. Even with my degree in FLCD, Family Life and Child Development, that's my master's. When I first became a parent, alam na to ni Teacher Rochelle, nagulat ako because all of a sudden, feeling ko, everything that I learned, yung mga degree, yung mga natutunan ko, probably na perfect ko na exam, guess what? It flew out of the window. So, because tama yung sinabi ni Teacher Rochelle kanina. Okay? This journey called parenthood, wala naman talagang, wala tayong dito Bachelor of Arts or Bachelor of Science in parenthood. That's why I am excited this afternoon to present to you positive parenting during COVID-19 pandemic and beyond. So let's define positive parenting. First of all, it's a philosophy rooted in connection with our children and connection with the different family members, the family members who are with us at home. Okay? Kanina sinabi ko na hindi ako expert. Do you know who's an expert in this? You. When it comes to your children, you are the experts. Pero really, no, I am not an expert when it comes to parenting. Sino yung pwedeng, who can attest to this? My two children. Kasi sila yung product ng parenting skills ko. You can ask my two grown children. The eldest is 21 years old. Dalawa lang naman sila. My second child, my son, just turned 17 years old. This is an everyday thing for me. Teacher Claude, talaga everyday? Yes. And for you also. Every day. We may not be conscious, but we are actually learning. Not learning like, how we know learning, sit down, read, take down notes. But sometimes, yes. Because if you want to remember things and you don't want to forget, you want to learn from that. Ayaw mo nang ulitin. So you take note of that. But learning every day, yes. So this is a philosophy rooted in connection. Connecting with our children, connecting with the different family members in the household. And in the end, who will benefit from this? Our children, not just our children, but the whole family. Actually, dear parents and teachers, when we talk about positive parenting, of course, what we have in mind is that we are now, we have now the responsibility of nurturing compassionate, responsible, empathetic people. No? Na lumaki silang ganon. When in fact, we are growing. We parents are growing alongside with our children. So this is really a process of self-discovery. We are in the process of also optimizing our potentials as human beings. Habang nandito tayo sa journey ng parenting, Hindi siya one-way process lang. It's a different way of relating to children that allows parents to maintain a strong bond with them through the ages and stages of childhood while raising kind and responsible people. We have this idea of parenting. Siguro hindi lahat, but most of us, we have this idea of parenting that nakafocus na lang sa quote-unquote discipline. Discipline as how we know it. Okay? Discipline as how we know it. Because it really depends. Again, I'd like to remind everyone, this afternoon, there's no judgment, no condemnation. Okay? The way we are as people, the way we are as parents, much of that nanggaling sa how we were raised. Kung kumusta yung experience natin, especially our early childhood years. Very important yan. Naalala niyo yung sinabi ni Teacher Rochelle kanina? That it's really good to start early. Let's not wait until malalaki na sila. The teaching, the training, the molding, the inculcating, it's really good that we start early. Kaya ang early childhood years, crucial years yan eh. That's why we call it the formative years. So, tandaan natin may mga keywords dito, no? Allows parents to maintain a strong bond. Taliwas sa idea natin, that tuloy wala nang nabubuo na strong bond because we focused on correcting, we focused on fault finding, we focused on scolding, on getting angry. Now, maybe you're saying, so Teacher Claude, wala nang discipline? No, I didn't say that. In fact, discipline is inculcated in positive parenting. You know why? Parents, you know, sino ang una nating dapat i-discipline? Yeah, of course, naka-mute kayo, but parang I can hear you. Ourselves. We cannot implement successful positive parenting when we do not start with ourselves. Discipline starts within. Conventional parenting methods often pit parent against child. Di ba ganun tayo? Ganun yung naiisip natin na parang adversarial, magkalaban, dapat galit ako. Dapat because I'm the parent, I have the power. You're wrong. Do this, do that, etc. Di ba? Di ba? It's pitting parent against child. This leads to disconnection between family members. I'm sure we have realized that. After we have scolded them or after we gave them the long sermon or whatever, kung paano tayo mag-quote-unquote disiplina, at the end of the day, when our upstairs brain is already the one working, what is that upstairs brain? The logical part, okay? We feel sorry at grabe yung pagsisi natin. Diba? Kasi bakit tayo naging adversarial? Then, we haven't really thought. Hindi tayo nakapagturo. By using positive parenting, parents can maintain a deep connection they are meant to have. Dapat kasi, di ba ang goal natin, connection? Remember, as they work with their child to guide him or her along the journey to adulthood. So hindi dapat ma-break ang connection. And then positive parenting is not permissive parenting. When probably most of you or most of the people will say, so mahirap pala itong positive parenting kasi you don't get angry or you don't correct. No. No, I will say no. In fact, it's inculcated in positive parenting. What is that inculcated in positive parenting? Positive discipline. You know, someone called my attention. Someone sort of corrected me because I posted last year. I promoted a talk also on positive parenting. It says the title parang ganito, positive discipline comes from positive parenting. And then somebody corrected me. I was told, Teacher Claude, dapat wag mo nang tawaging positive discipline. Kasi pag sinabi mong discipline, positive na yan eh. Oh, excuse me, not all the time. Not all the time because our idea or perception of discipline really depends on how we were raised, on how we were disciplined. Okay. most of the time, okay, I hear parents saying this. Again, hindi ako, you're listening to me, I'm not the expert. I am learning every day. But as I am learning, eto yung natutunan ko sa kanila. Sabi nila, okay naman ako ah. Kami nga talagang grabe, pinaluhod kami. Oh. Mo okay kami ngayon. Unlike the young ones now, na mga disrespectful, etc., etc. Or I hear somebody saying na, oh, grabe, nung time namin, hinataw nga kami, pero okay naman kami, etc., etc. You know, I learned this from my daughter. No? A few years ago, sinabi niya sa akin, mom, when I hear them saying that, na okay naman kami, actually, they're not okay. How can you be proud of that? Di tayo magde-debate ngayon. How can you be proud? Nahataw ka. I'm sorry about this. But these are the things na naririnig ko eh. Nahataw ka, nagdugo yung tuhod mo, etc. Nagluhod ka, etc. Okay? And you are so proud. Okay? And one time she also told me, Mama, you always you always start your statement with nung panahon namin, nung panahon namin. Sabi niya, Mom, sometimes I get scared because, a time will come. Halimbawa, pag wala na kayo, sabi niya, no? The world we will be living in, my daughter speaking, is a different world already. Are you preparing me for that world? By every now and then telling me, nung panahon namin, nung panahon namin. Yes, the principles are there. The virtues that teacher Rochelle was talking about earlier remain in our system. But we have to be aware that the world is changing. So namulat ako doon. By using positive and parents, we cannot always, parents and teachers, everyone listening, hindi natin pwedeng gamiting excuse palagi, oo, ganito ako eh, kasi aggression din kasi ang ginamit sa akin, kaya ganito ako. May tendency ako to be aggressive, or ganito talaga ako, may tendency ako to be firm and medyo may pagka, uh, strong, and let's just stop it. It's good that we have identified the roots of our behavior. Tama yan. Let's keep on doing that. Let's keep on learning. When we look back to the past, we learn from that. Pag sinabing learn, ibig sabihin we grow. So tama na-identify na natin. We do not pass it on to the next generation by continuing to use that reason. Hindi ko pwedeng sabihin excuse, no? Kasi totoo naman eh. The reason why we're like this, because we were raised that way. Because that's our experience. Okay? Pero tama na, dear parents. Dear families, tama na. It's not fair. Someone, no? Sometime, sa isang generation, somebody has to stand up and put a halt to it. Tama na. Kasi, bakit sila naging ganon? Sino, Teacher Claude? Yung parents natin. Because they were also raised that way. Kaya nga pasa-pasa po ito eh. So, will we just be permissive? Hayaan na lang natin. O kasi talagang ganito kami eh. No. Okay? Families, it's about time that we own our stories. Own your story. By that way, you are able to effect change. Kasi yun ang goal natin. Okay? Positive parenting is not permissive parenting. I'm sorry. Next slide, please. I pressed it. Yeah, next slide, please. Thank you. Thank you. So what are the principles of positive parenting? So here's a rundown. I'm going to go through them one by one. There's attachment, respect, proactive parenting, empathetic leadership, and positive discipline. See, there's positive discipline. And in the next slide, we will learn the description of each one. The attachment principle, it says here that the bond formed between primary caregivers and infants is responsible for what? For shaping all our future relationships, for strengthening or damaging our ability to focus, be conscious of our feelings, and calm ourselves. You see? Take note, ganun ka-importante ha, ang bond that is formed during the early years. That is also responsible for affecting our ability to bounce back from our misfortune. Have we ever wondered why it is challenging to teach children now how to be resilient? Kamusta naman ang mga bonds that we have formed during the early years? Okay. So this is from John Bowlby and Mary Ainsworth. Okay? Familiar names when it comes to attachment theories. In the next slide, thank you, we learn about the respect principle under positive parenting. As human beings, children deserve the same consideration we afford to others. Listen well. They need to be treated in a thoughtful, civil, and courteous manner, just as we treat other people. How do we treat our friends, our comares, compares? How do we treat our neighbors, our colleagues, our bosses? Napaka-respectful natin, di ba? We practice being civil, we are mindful, we are courteous. How come pagdating sa mga anak natin, and I use natin, I include myself, okay? Parang iba. Parang dapat merong power, no? Parang when we speak, nag-iiba ng tone. Tama na yan. Okay, go to your room. Mamaya tayo mag-usap. Do we talk like that to our friends? Do we talk like that to our boss, to our colleagues, to our subordinates? We respect a child's body and dignity when we choose not to hit her to cause deliberate pain for training purposes. Oops, stop. We will not be discussing or debating to spank or not to spank. Eto lang, okay? Eto lang, we try to comprehend this. We respect a child's body and dignity when we choose not to hit her or him to cause deliberate pain for training purposes. Okay? I know that there will be those listening, okay, probably just like me, my anchor is the Bible. And there is that verse in Proverbs that says, spare the rod and spoil the child. This is my take. I really want to research on that, and I want to ask, not necessarily a Bible scholar, but understanding the Bible, we have to understand the full context. Kailan siya sinulat? Yung kultura nila noon, bakit kailangan the rod? Now, I'm not saying na hindi totoo yun. Totoo yun. Truth. That's why it's the Bible. Okay? For me, if you ask me, tama yun, spare the rod. Because for me, the rod symbolizes discipline. Spare discipline, and yes, you will spoil the child. Okay? Inunahan ko na because I know that will be brought up later during the Q&A. We have to understand the full context, the whole context. We respect her or his personhood when we give space to allow her to explore and develop at her own pace, recognizing that children, they have different rates of development, and no two children are alike. Alam na natin yan. No two siblings are alike. Kahit naman tayo, di ba? Di naman, may mga similarities, but di naman talaga tayo exactly kapareho ng mga kapatid natin, not even twins. That's respect. And then in the next slide, please. Thank you. Proactive parents address potential problem behavior at the first sign before it becomes a serious problem. See? Kaya nga hindi siya permissive eh. Excuse me. Pag nakikita mo na, may mga senyales na of certain problem behaviors, address it right away. Implement the teaching learning process right away. Kasi that is positive discipline. It's really a teaching learning process. Talaga, Teacher Claude? Yes. O, di ba? So parang, it's like we're in a school. Kaya nga, di ba kanina, Teacher Rochelle repeated several times, the parents are are actually the teachers, especially now. Kasi nasa bahay sila. Eh, so wag na natin, yung mga iba kasi ganito, hayaan mo na. Bata yan eh, talagang ganyan. Kaya nga, dahil nga bata and we know anong capabilities nila, di ba? So we try to understand sa anong paraan pwede natin silang tulungan. Hindi yung, ayan full-blown already, the problem behavior, and then what happens? Kasi meron din tayong problem behavior. What's that? We explode, right? What is working at that time? It's the downstairs brain. Yung upstairs brain is the logical part, right? The downstairs brain, that's the impulsive. That's the yung nagre-react right away. Yan yung sumasabog. By putting in extra time, building the relationship, and teaching upfront, we thwart many problems that could have arisen from disconnection and lack of knowledge and instruction. Many times, the reason why they get confused on ano ba talaga ang gagawin kasi hindi naman naituro sa kanila eh. Yeah, hindi naman talaga naturo sa kanila, and ako I will really say yes to that, and I will also say that many times I'm a guilty party. Yeah, yeah. Even though I'm supposedly a family life and child development specialist. Countless times I've been a guilty party. But then again, ano yung maganda nga? We are learning in this journey. At pag natuto tayo, sana wag nang ulitin. Ha? Okay. We respond rather than react to our children's, oh, sorry. Yeah, thank you. We respond rather than react to our children's behaviors. Reactive parents act impulsively, while responsive parents are in control of themselves and able to execute the plans when when something arises. Sorry yan. When a situation arises, ayan. Minsan kasi natatakpan siya. All right, next slide please. Thank you. Empathetic leadership. Empathy. Empathize. Being empathetic means we understand the needs of our children. When Teacher Rochelle was teaching a while ago, you remember that? What did she show? She showed the illustration of Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Remember? It means we understand the needs of our children, from the physiological needs up to their need to self-actualize. And we relate to them in a way that helps them feel heard and understood while still holding the boundaries we have set. The boundaries should be there, but the children are aware that we can relate to them. Kasi, hello, dear parents and families and everyone, no, including teachers, hindi ba na, naging bata din tayo eh. Yung mga frustrations that they feel right now, especially right now, no, ang daming frustrations, anxieties, confusions, fears. Siguro just like us. Probably there's a point hindi na rin nila naintindihan what's happening now. We've been inside the house a year and a half, more than a year and a half. See, empathetic leadership is very important. Pero this will be converted into actions. Tingnan natin. Next slide, please. Thank you. Here's positive discipline. Ito na yung binanggit ng isang kaibigan ko na tanggalin ko na daw yung term na positive. Kasi when we talk about discipline, positive naman yon. Not all the time. In fact, many times hindi nga positive eh. Alam na natin yon, di ba? Punishment is distinct from discipline. The goal of punishment is to make someone suffer enough to cause him to want to avoid that particular behavior in the future. Familiar feeling? Di ba? This comes from the reward and punishment theory, the reinforcement theory. B.F. Skinner, operant conditioning. Diba? Hindi mo na siya gagawin. Why? Ayaw mo nang masaktan. You don't want to feel that pain anymore. No? So ibig sabihin, yun yung goal mo. It's not, you're not going to do it anymore because you are aware that it's not good, that it's not benefiting people. Ang goal is to avoid the pain. See? It is not just discipline that matters, but the entire childhood experience we provide. Dear families, dear parents, teachers, families, everyone, when our children or our students look back, halimbawa mga 5, 10, 15 years from now, or 20 years from now, when they look back, what would we like them to remember or feel dun sa childhood experiences that we have provided? Next slide, please. Next. Next, please. Thank you. How do we convert this to action? Kasi dapat alam natin yung principles, but then how do we actualize? With regards to attachment, no matter your child's age, attachment is formed by being lovingly responsive to the child's needs. Again, if you remember the illustration of Teacher Rochelle, remember Abraham Maslow? Siyempre may mga physiological needs. And hey, these are important. Importante to. Kaya minsan bugnot sila, siguro gutom. Okay? Sa basic needs yan. And then the need to feel safe, the need to be secure, the need to belong, okay? The need for affection. Are these needs addressed? Secure attachment refers to the child's emotional experience, not your own sense of connection. Kasi feeling natin, nag-connect na ako. Okay na, nag-spend time na ako sa kanya. No. It's point of view mo, but it should be the child's emotional experience. Nag-spend time nga tayo, pero ang feelings pala ng mga anak natin, they dreaded those times. Parang isip nila, sana matapos na lang to. Sometimes, I'm thinking, minsan parang natutuwa sila when I go out of the room. Ito, yung mga kiddos ko. Respond promptly and lovingly to cries and emotional upsets. This is one thing talaga na kinalakihan ko na parang we were not allowed most of the time to do. Yeah, we were told, bakit umiiyak? Umiiyak yan. Talk properly. Hindi ko naintindihan. Bakit umiiyak? Okay, bakit? That's part of the emotional domain. Crying. Ba't naman hindi iiyak? I'm not saying that they're going to be, ayoko mag-label. I'm not saying that they're going to be cry babies. But that's part of the emotional domain. Tayo ba, don't we cry? Understand your child's cues for food, rest, play, and comfort, and attend to them accordingly. Just like us. They have these needs. No? May mga ganito silang pakiramdam. So bakit parang minsan, why are they not allowed? No? Parang, alright, behave ha, listen. Focus ha, ayan, ready na sa online class. Makinig kay teacher ha, concentrate. O bakit ganito? Bakit 95 ka lang ha? Alam ko kaya mong 100. Bakit? Ano ba? Yeah. May mga parents pa rin na ganun. My goodness. Andito na tayo sa lockdown and all. Ganun pa rin ang focus nila. Bakit ka 95? Bakit hindi mo 100? Oh man. Give full focused attention without distractions. I remember what Teacher Rosh mentioned a while ago. parang okay na kasi nandyan tayo na, but it should be both quality and quantity time. Be present in the moment, dear family members. Provide lots of positive attention. Talking, laughing, playing, and cuddles. And it depends. Kasi iba-iba tayo ng love languages. But we provide lots of positive attention. Baka kasi ang maalala nila yung lots of scolding, loud voice, sit in the corner, face the wall, etc. Go to your room. Ano ba talaga ang majority ng pinoprovide natin? Reflect about that. After this webinar, dear family members, sit down. No? Sabi ni Teacher Rosh, meditate, be alone, me time, yeah. Napakagaling yan if we can do that later or probably tonight or tomorrow. Reflect. Think about the things that we talked about this afternoon. Next, please. Thank you. What about respect? How do we accord this to our children and to other family members? By the way, dear parents, our topic is not just for parang us relating to our children. No. Two ways to This is also, dapat kanina ko pa ito minensyon, no? This is also us relating to our spouses or kung single parents, relating to the people at home. Why? Simple. Because our children are watching us. O, ano naman yon? See, that's social learning theory, Albert Bandura, who recently passed away. Okay? It's not really the many sermons. It's not the many the non-ending lectures. Yeah, importante, of course, we talk to them. Kasi sa teaching may talking, di ba? But it's really the examples of how we live our lives. Social learning theory. They're watching us. They're following us, actually. So, two ways to be a good listener to our children and to the people around us sa bahay. Allow them to make choices, our kids. And when we give them choices, make sure doable choices. Baka pag may pinili, hindi mo rin pala papayagan. Be honest. Like, apologize when you have wronged them. Big struggle to for me. And I have learned as I am traveling on this road of parenthood that I have to set aside and put down my parent ego and my parent pride. Say I'm sorry if I have wronged them. We have to be honest enough. Kasi, dear families, napaka-powerful na example yung actions na ginagawa natin. Pero saan tayo? Ano yung mas madaling gawin natin? Yung pinagsusorry sila, di ba? Pag nag-aaway yung mga siblings, tama na, stop that. O, say sorry to your ate. Okay. O ikaw, o say, shake hands kayo. Ganun. Just a reminder, our children are not robots. They're not machines. Lagi kong sinasabi to. They're not cars na iiwanan mo sa talyer. Babalikan ko yun after 2 days, dapat magaling na. Parang minsan, anong akala natin sa mga teachers? Anong tawag? Ano yung nasa mekaniko. Hindi ganun. That's why this is called, I love the term, this is called partnership. And all the more because the children now are at home. Wala na sila dun sa the learning environment, the physical na nasa school. Avoid embarrassing them in front of their peers. If we are honest, diba? How many times nangyari ito? Okay? We have to be conscious Speak kindly about them to others. Marami pa rin akong naririnig ngayon. They're talking to their neighbors, mga kumare, and talking about their children. Ay, na kumare, yang si Bunso, saksakan ng harian ng katamaran. Really now? How can we be examples of respect? Next, please. Next. Thank you. Now, in positive parenting, we are proactive parents. We catch a potential problem, di ba? Before it gets out of hand. Kasi habang maaga pa, we can identify right away what triggered the problem, and then we can look for solutions. Kaya nga yung pangalawa, having a plan of action for when a problem arises. Ito ay tuloy-tuloy na proseso. Not because you have solved that problem, hindi na siya babalik ulit. Well, pwedeng bumalik, iba namang problema. Kaya nga, dapat tayo dynamic. So have a plan of action for when a problem arises. Everyone is involved. I am really happy na I'm aware that it's not just individuals watching, or I hope kung isa lang yung account na naka-on, I hope the people with you at home, they're also listening and watching right now. Why? Because you are all involved in this positive parenting, in this nurturing of responsible, compassionate, empathetic people. Itong mga anak natin. Hindi lang isa. Kaya nga mamaya after the webinar, yeah, sige, why not? Have a meeting. Talk about it. Ang mas maganda talaga ngayon, call them. Call them. Pero dapat kanina nyo pa tinawag when Teacher Rochelle started. Have them sit down. Dapat nakikinig din sila. You know why? Pag kayo kasi ang magsabi sa kanila, alam na natin yan, di ba? They will not believe you again. You know, the ego, the pride. So they have to listen to Teacher Rosh and Teacher Claudette. I'm just kidding, but it's true. All right. Oh, yes, we're listening together. Very good. All right, very good. Okay, set important boundaries early para, hindi full-blown yung problem. Okay, next slide, please. And practice empathetic leadership. Empathy shows your child that you understand his feelings and that you are on his side. Hindi kayo magkaaway. Empathy calms the brain and reaches straight to a child's heart, which makes him open to receive our wisdom and instruction. Kaya mahirap minsan magturo tayo eh. Why? Because hindi kalma yung brain. See? Kaya hindi umabot sa, hindi talaga naunawaan ng bata. Next slide, please. And then, to exercise positive discipline, family members should assess the need, calm yourself and your child, teach and problem solve. Kanina naalala nyo anong sabi ko? This is all about teaching and learning. Okay? This is not about scolding. This is not about gaano katagal siya nag-face ng wall. In the next slide, please. Next. So, thank you. So, how are we going to communicate effectively? Use I before you. Okay? I feel that the mess is just left there until mga ganitong oras, rather than sabihin nyo na you are really lazy bones. Iba yon, di ba? Accusing na kaagad yon. And then, again, this was mentioned by Teacher Rosh from Stephen Covey. A win-win is a good place to begin. So pag win-win, what should enter our mind? The term cooperative. Hindi competitive. We don't compete with our children. To assume makes one fume. Kaya dapat clear ang communication bago uminit ang ulo. Listen. Listen well so there's no division. Don't listen just to prepare kung ano yung rebuttal, no? Listen so there is no division. And then stop with the fault finding. Okay. Alam ko na ito yung mas madali sa atin eh. Okay? Fault finding kaagad. Kasi parang wala tayong solution na maisip. and then drop it when it's hot. Remember what I mentioned a while ago? The downstairs brain, ano yan eh, reactive yan kaagad, no? So, gawin ninyo yung sinabi ni Teacher Rosh na mga mindfulness, yung mga suggestions dito kanina. You have to calm down and relax so that you can think objectively, upstairs brain. And then, how about communicating with children? This is in the next slide. We should practice respect. We should give encouragement and praise, but I would like to call it more affirmation. Affirm, be objective. Mention ano yung ginawa niya, the behavior. Para hindi tayo nagpapaulan ng mga good job and very good na very vague naman. Hindi niya alam kung ano yon. What is conditional communication? I put it there, but I'm not saying that you should do that. Conditional communication, madalas ganyan tayo. Don't talk to me. Okay? O kaya, hindi kita love ngayon. Pag nag-ayos na siya, o sige, love na kita ngayon kasi nag-behave ka na. Really? What example is that? Okay, so let's be careful, families. What about our body language? Ano yung, we are saying something pero iba pala yung action ng body language natin. Galit, adversarial. What about the written words? When we text them, when we send them private messages, and our communication styles. All these are important in positive parenting. Next slide, please. Thank you. So we have to learn to trade punishment for solutions. Everyone, let us try our best to look behind the behavior. May reason yan palagi. Look behind the behavior. Let us remember to discipline ourselves first. Let us remember to connect with our children. Unahin natin yan, connection. Not the fault finding, not the scolding. Then let's make it our target to seek a solution for everyone's benefit. Hindi lang yung bata, no? Para sa iyo din at para sa mga kasamahan sa bahay. And in that way, we are beginning to restore and reconnect. And then I think next, yeah. So how do we bring up emotionally healthy children? Parents, families, teachers, everyone. It is time to rise up against the methods that clearly do emotional harm to our children. It is possible for unconditional love and correction to coexist.